Hi everyone, I just wanted to make a video about this book. I just read it. I know the subject matter is not for everyone, but it was definitely for me. And I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. I really couldn't put it down. Um, I know the subject matter isn't for everyone, but I find it very interesting. And this I would honestly argue is a pretty important piece of history. But anyway, so Holly Madison was on this show called Girls Next Door, and it was really popular in the aughts, and I watched it, and my friends and I at school would talk about this show a lot. So it was Holly Madison, Bridget Marquardt, and Kendra Wilkinson on the show. They were the Girls Next Door. And I didn't know this at the time of the show being on, but it really was like one of the first, if not the first, honestly, very successful reality TV shows. And it was a surprise hit. I mean, they were actually kind of trying to make a show about the mansion, about like how the mansion functioned and everyone in it. But these gals, Holly, Bridget, and Kendra really kind of stole the show, so they made the show about them. And this is just Holly's explication of her time in the mansion, her time with Hugh Hefner, her time of dating Hugh Hefner, and just that era of her life, and actually also, you know, how she was able to get out of that pretty fucked up situation. I just want to take this opportunity right now to remind everyone that you don't have to be a minor to be groomed. Because Holly was 22 when she went into the mansion, and she didn't get out of the mansion permanently until she was 29. Okay, so you don't have to be, but you don't even have to be that young. She was very young, but I'm just saying, like, you don't have to be an actual child to be groomed. Something to remember about another rather important subject matter I can't shut up about. But anyway, so I just want to say, first and foremost, that I felt like, oh, okay, let me just describe more of the show. So Holly and Bridget and Kendra would be on the show just doing their things, and they would really, you know, just film them doing whatever it was that they were doing. Obviously, they kind of played it up for the show, right? They you know, were doing things that were rather extravagant. Like, I remember there being an episode where they set up a slip and slide, a giant slip and slide, because there was this big hill in front of the mansion, and, you know, normal people don't fucking do that for the most part, and it's not as extravagant when normal people do it as when Holly did it. But anyway, so the show was obviously about these women. It was about these three women. And when I was watching it as a kid, I really felt like it was about these three women, and then like Hef would show up like for a scene or maybe two scenes, but he was like barely in it. We may or may not get to why that was. I have a lot to fucking say. I'm not gonna fucking get to everything. But anyway, I just want to say this, and I feel like this is a really fucking low blow, and I'm really shocked that this happened and disgusted that this happened. I'm sorry, let's let my clock talk for a moment. And if you can count, you'll know what time this video was made. I forgot what I was saying. This is what I was saying. These women were not credited on the show. Like, their names were not in the credits for the longest time. And Holly really had to fight for them to be in the show. And I think that is just absolutely fucking stupid and brainless on production's part. That, like, how dare you not put the first and last names of the three fucking stars of your show? Like, Christ almighty. But anyway, So, we want to get into what actually happens in this book. So, Holly gets into how she was kind of lured. She was kind of lured into the mansion by her desire to be in Playboy. And quick note about Playboy. See, this is just a fucking rabbit hole. Do you understand me? This is a real life rabbit hole. Playboy, I believe, is in poor taste, and I believe it was pretty much always in poor taste. And by the end of this video, I think I can tell you where Hugh Hefner is laid to rest. I'll try to remember. But at the time of Playboy's heyday, it was not as serious as pornography is today. Playboy absolutely paved the way for pornography to be as accessible as it is, as commonplace as it is, and as exploitative as it is, okay? But if you compare some fucking nudie magazines from the 80s, I've actually seen them, honestly. I have seen Playboy, okay? I have seen older issues of Playboy. You compare that shit to any kind of rape tapes on the internet. It is puppies and kittens and rainbows, okay? And I just want to also remind you that that Playboy was published. If you look up Hugh Hefner, it says he was an American publisher. All right, like this is a physical copy of a still photograph of still photographs. All right, that you had to go the fuck to the dirty magazine store and buy. All right, I guess you could have had a subscription, but that was a lot different than rape tapes are now. Anyway, moving on. Holly was lured in to the mansion life by her own desire to be in Playboy. And Hugh Hefner was just the most fucking manipulative, scary, abusive old man that I've ever heard of, honestly, that has ever been described to me in this book. Holly really describes a lot of the verbal abuse that he gave her, but I mean, he also like physically abused these women because she talks about how like he would get women to go party with them, with his harem. She calls it his harem in the book. He would get women to go party with him, and he would give them fucking Quaaludes, all right? And he would be like, oh, you know, another name for Quaaludes is thigh openers. So he would fucking call these things thigh openers. You guys, I don't know all about Quaaludes because Tati's young, but Tati ain't that young, okay? I meant to say Tati's older, but Tati ain't as old as Ms. Holly Madison here. Quaaludes really were, I wasn't even aware that they were still around in the aughts, which is when Holly had the opportunity to do them, but she never did because they're scary. So Quaaludes were hot shit in the 80s, all right? I'm sure they were around in the 70s as well, but apparently they were still circulating by the early aughts. They were, like many recreational drugs are today, a pharmaceutical drug prescribed by actual pharmacists. So it was originally, actually, it was a sleeping pill. I am not exaggerating. So, but in order to use it recreationally, what you had to do was you would take a Quaalude and you would just have to resist the urge to sleep. And once you resisted the urge to sleep, you'd be high as shit. If you watch Wolf of Wall Street, they do a funny little dramatization of that. But anyway, there is so much to say here. So Hef would really like hold the promise of possibility over these women, over his harem. He would be like, oh, you know, maybe you can be in the magazine. Oh, you know, maybe you can be on the website. Because I didn't know they had a website, but they had a website back in the day. And he would just like hold that over their heads. But he would also really, like, he would groom them. There's just no other way to say it. He would give them gifts. He would let them stay at the mansion. He ended up taking Holly and Bridget and Kendra on a lot of trips, you know, like, so this was clearly a, what do I want to say? A manipulative relationship. There was give and take, but there was more take than give from Hugh Hefner. But because he could give extravagant gifts, the women didn't necessarily always see it as bad. But anyway, so, oh my gosh. Okay, just an example of this. This made me lol, even though it's like really not that funny. So, in the mansion, when Holly was there, she was actually forced to sleep with Hef. Like, she didn't have her own room. She had to sleep in the same bed as Hugh Hefner when she was, 22 through 29, and he turned 80 in that time frame. Okay, that is gross and weird, and strange and wrong, honestly. Let's be real here. It's wrong. It's wrong, and everyone can know it, and you can shout it from every rooftop. But, so Holly was saying that, I can't remember where it was exactly, but it was somewhere within the near vicinity of the bedroom that there was this really disgusting dog urine-soaked carpet. And she was like, Hef, let's pull that up. Like, it's really gross. We can replace it, or we have to do something else there because this is disgusting. Let's get rid of it. And he said, she had to pester him about it, and he finally allowed it. And he fucking said, when she said that, he was like, this just shows how much I love you. Like, it just shows how much he loves her because he's doing the right thing by pulling up a dog urine-soaked carpet. The fuck? When I read that, I laughed, but it is very fucked up. Okay, this was something that was really creepy. So, Holly knew that Hef really liked Marilyn Monroe. And Holly really likes Marilyn Monroe. So, after she had been at the mansion for a while, she decided to change her hair, cut her hair, and like Hef also paid for all these women to go to the salon. There was like a salon that they could just go to all the time and not pay. And so Holly went to the salon, she got her hair cut, and she got all styled up like Marilyn Monroe specifically for Hef. And he screamed at her. And she was like, well, don't you like it? Like, and she wore red lipstick, and he was like, no, you look horrible. Like, you can't, like, only harlots wear red lipstick. And this dumb shit fucking made Playboy. Like, hello. But so he just reduced this poor woman to tears when she had clearly been trying to do something for him. And it just really made her feel bad. And she was like, okay, I'm never going to try anything of that nature ever again. And then later in the book, not very much longer after, I think a few years after that happened with the Marilyn Monroe, like, do-up thing for Holly, another girlfriend, they were going out, and another girlfriend, who I guess was a newer girlfriend than Holly was when she did the Marilyn Monroe look, like, came down, and she was, all dressed up, all dolled up, wearing red lipstick, okay, which Hef specifically forbade Holly from wearing. And he also remembers everything. The women all said that he remembered everything because he would fucking scrapbook everything. This was borderline creepy. Like, he would scrapbook everything, and he held a Guinness Book of World Records record for a number of scrapbooks. Anyway, this woman came downstairs all ready to go, go out with red lipstick on. And Holly was like, at the edge of her seat being like, oh my God, he's going to freak out on her. Like, what am I going to do? And instead of freaking out on her, he was like, wow, you look so great. Like, you just look so good. Like, you should do yourself up like this more often. And that was specifically to mess with Holly, for sure. Specifically to mess with Holly, and specifically to, like, uphold this other woman, even though she was his number one for many years. Like, she held the title of a quote-unquote number one girlfriend, yet he insisted on having multiple other girlfriends, and insisted on housing multiple other girlfriends, and insisted on being with multiple other girlfriends. And then he went and did this berating of Holly, but then this, you know, hey, check, can you not do this right now? Please. Binky? Binky. He insisted on doing this berating of Holly when she was really trying to impress him, and then insisted upon, you know, doing this ultimate praising of this other woman just to manipulate her. So fucked up. Okay. So that, I mean, this book also really expounds upon the mansion culture. Because there was a mansion culture. Like, it had its own fucking, the mansion really was its own world. And it was Hef's world. 24/7. You know, it was Hef's world. All the women had to abide by him. All the butlers and house staff had to abide by him. And when you create your own little fucking microcosm like that, like, you can manipulate it, and you can manipulate others, and it can be very scary and very dangerous. Okay, so that's exactly what was going on. I really enjoyed this book. I cried twice. Holly, I really did. I cried twice. I cried when she got to the point where I'm gonna cry just talking about it. She really had a rough go of it trying to get away from Hef because of everything I just described, of mansion culture and all the manipulation, and him hanging over the possibility of her being in Playboy over her head. I cried when she finally was, like, done with him. Like, once she got to that point and she was like, no, I'm not going back to this guy. He cannot have me anymore. I cried. I also just want to say that these women were also very much manipulated by the production staff. Like, obviously they had them, you know, say things and do little bits, like, just for the reality show. But, you know, the women would say that, like, they wanted their names in the credits, or they would say that they, you know, they wanted to have more say in, like, the show or something, or just the episode, or just what they were doing. And the production staff was like, no. They would always be like, no, you're replaceable. And the moment that they replaced these women, because Holly, Kendra, and Bridget all left, so they replaced them, the show was canceled. Because the new three women could not hold a candle to these three women. Hugh Hefner completely married Crystal on the rebound. He really wanted to marry Holly, or so he claimed. What was creepy was Holly was saying that even after she broke up with him, even after she left the mansion, even after, you know, she explained that she was trying to do her own thing and separate herself from Playboy, Hef would still fucking send her letters in the mail. And she said she would just throw them away. And I think that was the best move. And I'm so proud of her for having done that. Holly is still on YouTube. She does a lot of YouTube stuff. She talks about the show, and she has a podcast where she talks about the show. And I really like the podcast because she and Bridget use their normal speaking voices, and they're not like scripted as fuck during their podcast. And Holly also swears. Oh my god, it's so refreshing. I swear, obviously, but Holly swears pretty regularly, and it's great. I think she's very fascinating. She's really good at cooking. She has some cooking videos, too. I just find her really fascinating and interesting. Yeah, so, I think that's, oh my god. I almost forgot the most important thing that I said I was going to mention. I promised to mention. Okay, so Hugh Hefner did actually take nude photographs. I don't know if he took nude photographs of Marilyn Monroe, but he was able to obtain nude photographs of her and put them in Playboy, and he didn't pay her for that. And then he was able to buy, so he didn't fucking pay her for that. Rude, right? And he was able to buy the space, the body space, I don't know what to call it, at the mausoleum where Miss Marilyn is laid to rest. He was able to buy the space right next to her. So even in his death, Hugh Hefner is encroaching upon a woman's space. Let's just remember that. Okay, go watch some Holly Madison videos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.